From South Dakota and its Mount Rushmore to Arizona with the Grand Canyon, Washington, D.C. and the White House and more, join me as I show you America's most important landmarks. Number 10. Mount Rushmore. Let's start off by looking at a landmark and a monument that is constantly talked about by those that view it. Mount Rushmore. Located in the Black Hills of South Dakota, Mount Rushmore is a testament to hard work, dedication, and a drive to go and make something to bring people to the state. You see, that is the true origin of the landmark. South Dakota doesn't have the biggest population out there, and thus a desire was had to bring people to the state by making a monument that they would love to come and see. Originally, it was supposed to be a place that housed legends of the Wild West era, but eventually it became about the presidents who helped shape the United States into what we know it now. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln were all selected for their marks upon history. Washington for helping create the nation, Jefferson for expanding it via the Louisiana Purchase, Teddy for preserving it by making national parks, one of which will be here later on in the list, and Lincoln for unifying it after the Civil War. The size and scale of Mount Rushmore is not to be underestimated. It took years for this to happen, and now that it's finished, it's something to admire. Number 9. Golden Gate Bridge and National Recreation Area. It might seem odd that a bridge would be a landmark, but when it comes to the Golden Gate Bridge and the area surrounding it, you'll see exactly why it's so special. The bridge was a true feat of engineering and something that took about 4 years to make when it was built in the 1930s. The reason the bridge was built in the first place was because at the time the only way to get from San Francisco to Marin County was by ferry, and at one point in time it was the largest city to only be accessible by ferry. As such, the Golden Gate Bridge was built, though it did take a while to get approval as many were adamant that it couldn't be built in terms of cost, materials needed, and so on, but eventually it was. As for the National Recreation Area that is near the bridge, it has over 1,000 animal species and centuries of history spanning from the Native American settlement of California to the bustling metropolis of modern-day San Francisco. No wonder 13 million visit its 80,000 acres every year. A little bit of history, an appreciation for nature, it's a true landmark and monument that people can enjoy. Number 8. Lincoln Memorial. We're going to be heading to Washington, D.C. quite a bit in this list, and it's not hard to see why. The nation's capital has a lot to offer for both those just wanting to see the sights and also those who want to go and see parts of history. The Lincoln Memorial is one of the true landmark pieces of the city, and it's something that is steeped in history itself. For example, the idea of the memorial came right after Lincoln's death after the Civil War, but things didn't go as planned, as no one could agree as to what the memorial should be. The association came together in 1867, but the actual construction on the project didn't begin until 1914. While parts of the monument were completed by 1917, the monument wasn't completed in full and opened to the public until 1922 due to World War I and the aftermath following it. When the monument was made public in 1922, Robert Todd Lincoln, the last surviving son of Abraham, was able to see the statue. While it may have taken forever to get made, the result was worth it, as Lincoln is honored in the land he helped unify, and people can go and appreciate a man who dedicated many of his years to peace and freedom. Number 7. One World Trade Center. Once upon a time in New York City, the World Trade Centers were a testament to both engineering and world commerce. The World Trade Center complex housed more than 430 companies that were engaged in various commercial activities. On a typical weekday, an estimated 50,000 people worked in the complex, and another 140,000 passed through as visitors. Sadly, on September 11, 2001, the World Trade Center was destroyed via a terrorist attack, and the impact of the towers being gone was felt throughout the United States and the world itself. However, eventually they rebuilt it into One World Trade Center, a monument, museum, and showing of strength by the people of New York and the U.S. that they won't forget, but they also will move on and honor those who lost their lives that day. Many people go to New York just to see the One World Trade Center because of what it represents and how it helped make the city whole again. An interesting thing to note, the building's height is 1,776 feet, the number being an obvious reference to the year that America was founded. While there are some who don't believe in what this tower stands for, it still stands, and the people will want to see it forever stand as a tribute to what came before and what may yet come. Number 6. Independence Hall. Most Americans love their history, and specifically they love to talk about the key moments of the nation's founding. A key moment for that founding was the creation of the Declaration of Independence, the document that stated that the colonies would be free and not resign themselves any longer to the tyranny of King George in England. That document was made and signed in Independence Hall in Philadelphia, at the time one of the capital areas of the colonies. Later on in history, Independence Hall became the place where the United States Constitution would be made and signed into law, helping start the next phase of the life of America. Hopefully now you understand just how important this building is to history, not just because of the documents that were made in it, but also the people that were within that building. George Washington, John Adams, Ben Franklin, Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, John Hancock, and more, just to name a few. Needless to say, it's a key part of history, and thus it's been featured in many a story and movie, including the Nicolas Cage film, National Treasure. Number 5. Yellowstone National Park. There are many national parks in the United States, but few are as massive and as beautiful as Yellowstone National Park. It's this park that is so big that it encompasses 3 different states in Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. And within this 3,468.4 square miles, 8,983 square kilometers area of land are lakes, canyons, rivers, and mountain ranges. And of course, an assortment of animals from the common to the endangered that live amongst its numerous biomes. The vast forests and grasslands also include unique species of plants. Yellowstone Park is the largest and most famous megafauna location in the contiguous United States. It's also here that you'll find many beloved landmarks such as the geyser known as Old Faithful and certain mountain areas that you can climb and get struck by lightning if you're not careful. What might surprise you is that every visit to the park is technically a dangerous venture, because the whole park is on top of a supervolcano that can erupt at virtually any moment, and yet people go there because they want to see the beauty that nature has to offer. Number 4. Alcatraz. Not all landmarks are designed to remember history. Some are meant to be history, and the legendary island known as Alcatraz is a great example of that, because this island, known as the Rock, was home to a prison that housed some of the most dangerous criminals in the world, including legends like Al Capone. Over its history, it was impenetrable and inescapable. Many tried, all failed, or at least are said to have failed. And the only reason that it's still not in use as a prison was because of decay and better prison systems. But it still remains, and many use it for other purposes, including searching for paranormal activity. Number 3. Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor and its monument in Hawaii stands as a reminder of the horrors of war and how it can suddenly change entire lives and entire nations. On December 7, 1941, the day that will live in infamy, occurred when the Japanese launched a surprise attack in an attempt to cripple the U.S. Navy. Though they were only partially successful, the damage was done to those who were there. A key site at Pearl Harbor today is the USS Arizona Memorial, a tribute to one of the ships that was sunk during the strike. The head-turning white structure is built above the vessel's wreckage. Number 2. Grand Canyon. Nature is a wondrous thing, as we've shown you on this list, and there are some places that absolutely needed to be preserved or else nature couldn't be fully appreciated. One of the biggest examples of this is the Grand Canyon in Arizona. The Grand Canyon as a whole is 277 miles long and 18 miles wide at points, with a depth of over a mile. The reason that this place is such a wonder to many is because it is a naturally formed entity. Over many millions, if not billions of years, the waters of the area, including the Colorado River, wore down and eroded this place until it had canyons and ravines and beautifully carved rock. Over the course of history, various people lived in the canyon and its outlying areas, including the Native Americans of various tribes. By the time Teddy Roosevelt came around, big business was trying to impede on the area and transform it to house their needs. Roosevelt was a man who appreciated nature and didn't allow that. He created a game reserve to protect part of the place and eventually made the Antiquities Act to make it a national park that could not be touched. The canyon still stands to this day, and people continue to go and observe its natural wonders. Number 1. White House. While it's fair to say that there are certain monuments and landmarks that could be number 1 in the eyes of most people, the White House for many is the monument they think of the most when they think of America, because this incredible building is where democracy is housed in various ways and has been the home of most of the presidents during the life of the country. The White House is honestly much bigger than you think, and it houses a great deal of people who are working around the clock to not just keep America safe and free, but to keep things moving and building the nation up to bigger and better heights. The White House has been the source of many stories in television and movies because of its great importance, including one of the greatest series of all time, The West Wing. It is considered an honor to go to be in the White House, even as a guest. And to be elected president is an honor beyond honors, because that means you get to be in the Oval Office and say that you are the leader of the free world. Given that, it shouldn't be a shock that many people line up outside the gates of the building to take pictures and say that they were close to it. Thanks for watching. What did you think of this look at the landmarks and monuments of America, and which ones are the most important of the lot in many people's eyes? How many of these have you been to yourself, and which ones were your most favorite? Do you think another landmark or monument should be here? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.